Hi, gang. Mark Gilliard here for AIM Country Music Television, and our guest is Brooks Forsyth. Brooke hails from the mountains of North Carolina, but he's a Nashville recording artist through and through. His style spans from folk to country to Americana. He's got a whole stack of songs that they might remind you a little bit of Woody Guthrie or Bob Dylan, with thoughtful phrases and interesting melodies, but at the end of the day, it's all Brooks. He's a singer-songwriter, but he's also an accomplished guitar player. Listen to a Brooks Forsyth playlist. I highly recommend it. And you'll notice a stream of guitar textures that perfectly cradle the vocals. He's a master songwriter, a great guitar player, and he commands the stage. He's here today to talk about his new release, Everlasting Love. Let's get Brooks in here right now to talk about what might just be your new favorite song. Welcome, Brooks. Thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Mark. It's good to be with you.
Yeah, we're excited to have you. Before I start to yap too much about this, why don't you take a minute or two to introduce yourself, like how you got started, who you've been most influenced by, what's next on your agenda? Just give us the overview.
Well, my name is Brooks Forsyth. I'm from Boone, North Carolina, a little town up in western North Carolina. Some people know it for Appalachian State University.
Yeah.
And I grew up here, and I would see people like Doc Watson playing at a young age, and that's sort of what I think first inspired me to want to pick up a guitar and play music. And so I've grown up around what I consider a lot of great music, all throughout my life in this area.
It is a great area for it, for sure. Well, I've been immersing myself in your music. It's really good. How would you describe your genre to someone who's never heard you perform?
Well, it's sometimes a tough question to answer because I like to play all different kinds of music. This term Americana gets thrown around quite often, and I've been playing Americana, I guess, for about 15 years, and I'm still trying to figure out what it is. But it's it's a big umbrella of different genres, and a lot of it stems from American music and things that have inspired American music. So I guess I would call it mostly Americana. I just mentioned Doc Watson, and it'll probably come up again within this interview. But he used to call what he did traditional plus, and people would say what he did was bluegrass and folk and all different kinds of a melting pot of different genres. But I'm not exactly the same kind of music that he played, but I always liked the way that he included the plus, in that description, because it's like, well, that pretty much covers everything. So, maybe Americana plus, something like that.
There you go. Well, you just came off of a tour with someone, didn't you? That was sort of like what I would describe as probably folk.
Yeah, and there's kind of there's somewhat of a newer scene. It's like the folk renaissance or something, if you will, that's going on right now. And I would say that this artist is a part of, there's kind of a newer folk scene that this guy.
What was his name?
Willie Carlisle.
Carlisle, yes, Willie Carlisle.
And we went out to, all the way out to Arizona before we started working our way back. This was last February, and opened a number of shows for him on the road. And it's neat to see that there is a scene for that style of music that has reemerged. It seems like every few years some little scene pops up within that kind of genre. But there's a cool thing going on right now, in my opinion. That's kind of a resurgence of a lot of folk music.
Well, we're here to talk about your latest release, Everlasting Love. For the youngsters amongst us, this was a huge hit for Robert Knight back in the late 60s. Since then, it's been recorded by everybody from Gloria Estefan to U2. Your version really holds its own really well against some pretty stiff competition there. The producer on the song, and I guess your last album, So Much Beyond Us, is Buzz Cason. Mr. Cason is one of the co-writers for Everlasting Love. I know it probably feels normal to you since you've worked with him so much, but what was it like working with one of the writers of such an iconic song?
Well, I love working with Buzz, and I started working with him in 2018, and we recorded that first album you mentioned, So Much Beyond Us, and then we ended up recording another album, starting it in 2019, and obviously some things happened in the world between then and now that have been interesting for the music business and everything else. So, but I always loved working with Buzz, and I got put in touch with him, a few years before that, and he finally became interested in doing some recordings. So, walk in his studio in Nashville. It's in this little place called Berry Hill, where a lot of studios are, kind of south of downtown Nashville. And, you walk in and there's all these different records on the wall, stuff that you've probably heard on the radio about 150 times, if not more. So, the first time I walked to that office, I was sort of taken back by some of that stuff. But once I got to know Buzz, I mean, he's a great man, and now we'll go out to eat lunch or something like that. So it's not if I step back from it, I think, wow, this guy's had an illustrious career. He's written a lot of good songs, and some real great songs, but yeah, he's a friend now, so. But it was when we decided to do this tune in particular, there was a little bit extra pressure, I think, just because it's had that legacy. So I wanted to try to fulfill the path of the continuous path of this song. I wanted to fulfill do it justice.
Exactly. Well, I think you did a great job. Was it his suggestion or your suggestion to do that song? How did
it was actually my suggestion. He had played a festival up in Canada. I think it was Vancouver. And he played with Billy Swan. Remember Billy Swan? I Can Help. There's a few tunes that Billy Swan used to sing. He had some hits too, but he had played this festival with Billy Swan. And they had encored with Everlasting Love, and he had come back into the States and had given me a call. Buzz did, and right after the show, and he just was talking in passing. He said, we encored with Everlasting, and the crowd stood up and they were singing along, and they seemed to still, the song lives on kind of, thing. And there was just something about that conversation. For whatever reason, I had the phone. I said, man, why haven't I tried to do a version of this? The song is still going,
Yeah, exactly. Well, I knew I was going to interview you, so I listened to a whole bunch of your music before I heard Everlasting Love. So I'm listening to it saying, how's this guy going to do that song? It's like, I don't even know about this, but it came out great. I mean, it is you, but it is that song too. I mean, it is, I think it's a version that will really hold up.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it was probably a bit of a departure, if you will. It was kind of like, can I pull this off? But when Buzz brought in he said, I got a banjo, I got a fiddle, I got all these things. I want to make a unique, organic version of this song, and so that kind of made it fit a little bit better to my previous styles,
So. Exactly. Yeah. Like I say, I think it definitely fits what you've done already, and to me, it makes it a Brooks song. It's one of those things where it's not just a remake of a previous song. It's a song, okay, you recognize it, but it is really, really, truly in your style.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
So was he involved in helping get that arrangement set up, or did you pretty much have to do it your way? How'd that part work?
He mostly arranged it. I kind of let him. I was just, after we figured out that we were going to record it, I made a demo of it after I talked to him that night. I sent it to him. And I thought, what do you think about me, doing a version of this tune? And he said, I love the idea. Let's get in the studio. And a lot of times I work with him and his son, Parker Case, in Nashville, and they have sort of a network of session musicians, Nashville session players. And so they'll pretty much line up whoever is available. And they're all these amazing, to me, they're the pros. Like the first time I walked into that situation, I was astounded at how quickly, you show up that day, you run through the songs in the control room or whatever, and then you're out recording the album cuts within, you know, after each rehearsal, you're out recording it in 5 or 10 minutes. So
yeah, those guys are amazing. I mean, they come into a studio and it sounds like you have a band that you've played with for years. It's just amazing.
It astounded me the first time I was in Nashville. I was like, because I had sent them some demos or something, you know, and then so were y'all studying the demos? They're like, just play us the song, you know, like we do this every day. Like, all right. And then, you know, I'm the one trying not to mess up my own song. They're all
right.
every day.
Yeah. And they are not going to mess it up.
Right. But so anyway, yeah, he pretty much lined up all the session players, and that was a big part of sculpting the sound, was just who was going to be on it. And so we had Sadler Vaden on guitar, we had Jamie Dick on drums, we had Ted Pecchio on bass, and then we brought in Wanda Vick, who played the fiddle and the banjo. She's an amazing multi-instrumentalist. Long history in Nashville, and so that was a big part of you know that sound taking shape, and that was more or less Buzz kind of choosing, him and his son kind of choosing those session players, and he sort of had the idea, you know, we knew that we wanted those melodies. There's what's cool about that song, and I think what's so catchy about it is that Mac Gaden, the other guy who co-wrote it with Buzz, you know, it was Mac Gaden and Buzz Cason, and Mac came up with these counter melodies that apparently he said he had from when he was even younger as a kid, and it's the stuff that's da 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 da, and so you have to have something playing that, you know, counter over the chorus when the lyrics are being sung. And so he was coming up with whatever it was going to be, the fiddle or you know, the banjo doing sort of a, you know, kind of a counter harmony over that. And but that took shape pretty quickly, as I remember. And yeah, that was mostly Buzz's idea. I was just, once I decided to do it, I was there just to I don't know,
do all the Brooks parts. You played guitar on it, right?
Yeah, I played acoustic guitar on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because I hear your guitar playing kind of that even thread through everything you do. Has got that kind of distinctive guitar sound to it.
Yeah, I think that's probably the one thing that kind of ties a lot of the different styles that we were talking about earlier together is that I try to put some finger picking style in just about everything.
Yeah, you like, if you listen to like an entire album, you definitely hear it through there, where it's all kind of stitched together with a single guitar kind of doing everything, and then you know, layer everything else on top of it. But really a recognizable sound.
Yeah, I love that kind of acoustic, like finger picking, a little bit of flat picking, but more finger picking. I'm very into that kind of guitar style.
I'm ready. Let's let everyone watch this video.
All right, let's do it.
You're watching Brooks Forsyth's video for Everlasting Love on AIM Country Music Television.
Hearts go astray, leaving
That did not disappoint. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Now tell us about the team that put this video together.
Well, once I got the okay to do the video from Buzzcase, and once again, I got a filmmaker that I knew that was also from Boone, and his name is Thomas Rowell, and his company is called Brother Mountain Films, and he's done a lot of things for a lot of different documentaries, and he was actually taking pictures, some from National Geographic for a while. And
wow.
so this was an interesting project for him, to do. And we all went down to Nashville, and he had another assistant that he brought down, and we kind of built a little team and did this video in the studio, that in Buzzcase's studio where we recorded the song. So it certainly felt at home for the tune.
Well, it definitely came out good. I think this one's really going to do well.
Thank you very much. And that's the same studio that Carl Carlton recorded the biggest hit of this song, for at least in the US. Yeah, it's the same studio where he cut that. I think that was in like 1973 or came out in 74. There's some where we thought there was some magic in there that we were trying to harness. If it's already done that in there, we were trying to capture that. So.
Well, I for one think you pulled it off.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Well, let's wrap this up with you telling us where we can find you, where to buy music, where we can see you live.
Okay. You can find me on my website, brooksforsyth.com, and all the socials, or just about all of them. There's a new social up that comes out every day. So I as soon as I'm aware of it, I usually try to put something on it. But yes, Instagram, just Brooks Forsyth, Facebook, Brooks Forsyth Music, Twitter, I'm on there, Brooks Forsyth, and yeah, I guess what's upcoming, I have quite a few shows coming up this summer around the North Carolina area, but one I'd like to mention, kind of out left field, but there's a festival I'm doing out in Denver, Colorado, in August 27th. It's called the Shine Music Festival, and I want to promote it just because it just is this great cause, and the people that are putting it on are awesome, and it's in Denver Park. So if you happen to be out in Denver, I would recommend this festival. There's a really good lineup, and yeah, it's August 27th, and that's something that's kind of on the horizon that I'm planning on doing. So,
is info about this on your website?
Yes, it will be. It will be. We're actually just about to put it out on there. So yeah, it's coming.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It's been great talking to you today.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, Mark.
You're welcome. Ladies and gentlemen, Brooks Forsyth. So what do you guys think? Is Everlasting Love going to be your only favorite song? This has been Mark Gilliott for AIM Country Music Television. Thanks for watching.